All right, friends, it's time for us to talk about what's truly important in life, the things that really matter, not family, not friends, not your physical, mental health. We're here to talk about what is truly important, which is footwear. We talk about the importance of rock and metal footwear because what you wear in your feet says so much about you. And as we all know, my tier lists are at the top of my tier list of content. Like if you ranked all my content on a tier list, my tier lists would be on the S tier. And so, of course, how else are we going to discuss rock and metal footwear but in a tier list? That's what we're going to do. So we'll talk about all the different footwear choices that are available to you, what those might mean for you, and we'll rank them on a tier list. But before we go any further, this is the part where I ask you to follow me on Twitch. I am streaming twice a week from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and think of it like hanging out at Denny's after a show. Except you are with a couple hundred of your best friends. Check it out at the link in the description of this video, and I hope to see you there. Let's start with a classic. Oh boy. We'll start with a classic here. Shoes for Crews. The unbranded black footwear that's slip resistant. And you might ask yourself, well, why would you want unbranded black shoes that are slip resistant? Well, the answer would be if you work at Burger King. You're saying people wear those outside of restaurants. Well, yes, people do wear those outside of restaurants if you're in a death metal band. If you're in a band that sounds like Nile or Dying Fetus, this is your shoe of choice. With cargo shorts, of course, you got to have the look right here. Some like European festival in Slovenia. This is the look right here, people. You got your Shoes for Crews with your surplus army pants tucked into them. Looks like, I don't know, is that like a Necrophagist shirt or something like that? It might be. It could be. Vader, Broken Hope. I mean, this is what it says about you. If you're wearing Shoes for Crews, you're wearing them with camo cargo shorts. It's the rules, people. If you're wearing the Shoes for Crews, I would say, you know, something has gone wrong. Whatever your plan for life was, I would say it might be time to reevaluate that plan. No judgment. I'm just saying, you know, whatever you're doing now with your life, I would say maybe consider doing the exact opposite of that. That's my advice. But then again, I'm the one here wearing this Affliction shirt, giving you advice on footwear. I'm just saying, maybe start wearing Affliction shirts and listen to the Theory of a Dead Man. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sorry, people. You know, I feel bad. I feel guilty doing this, because it feels almost unfair, like kicking them when they're down. Like if someone is down so bad that they're playing in a death metal band and wearing Shoes for Crews, it feels cruel, but they got to go on the F tier. It's just how it is. I don't make the rules, people. I don't make the rules. How about another favorite of mine? These guys here. Another favorite of mine. What is this? The Etnies Cali cut girls shoe. You guys remember these from back in the 2000s? You guys know what a fan I am of the Y2K bimbos. And if you don't know what a Y2K bimbo is, here's the Y2K bimbo. Perfect example of it. And could you see these girls wearing the female Etnies? Maybe not quite, but close. Like if their big sister goes like full bimbo, this is like their little sister that is kind of a little bit alternative. The kind of girl that like works at a tanning salon, drives a Mitsubishi Eclipse, maybe like her boyfriend plays in like a shitty skate punk band. That's the kind of girl who would wear these shoes. And I gotta say, I always had a big soft spot for those girls. I only dated one of them once when I was like 19, and it didn't last for very long. It didn't work out, but I was proud of myself for at least doing it once. Exactly. When you saw these shoes in the early 2000s, you knew that she would fuck. Exactly. You know, would I ever want someone to wear these shoes in the current year? Absolutely not. But it's just something about it. It's just like, okay, so, you know, nature has a lot of warning signs. You know, like insects that are brightly colored or reptiles that are brightly colored. It's like, don't touch me because I'm poisonous and I'll bite you. These shoes are the opposite of that. When a girl wears these shoes, that means open for business. That means DTF. That means it's going to be fun. So I say, for that reason, even though these shoes themselves are kind of hideous, I'm going to put them on the A tier just because of, you know, just for the vibe, you know? Ugly shoe, but the vibe. Now, how about Chelsea boots? I have always fucking hated these. There's a few ways that this one can go. Number one is you could be like a Matty Mullins, like youth pastor type guy, like the youth pastor fuckboy, you know, kind of thinks he's better than everyone, you know, real like smug and condescending, has an anti-vax wife with like balayage hair and like 3 kids named Braden, Jaden, and Caden that are homeschooled, you know, so that they can teach them from the Bible and don't have to get them vaccinated. There's a slight like white supremacist kind of vibe somewhere in there. I feel like that's one way that the Chelsea boots can go. The youth pastor vibe could also go towards like a more hipster kind of thing. Like when I see someone that dresses this way, let's say in like Brooklyn or San Francisco or Seattle, I think of someone who is from some, you know, shitty place like Kentucky or Milwaukee, and they move to a big like coastal city, and all of a sudden they just hate everybody. They hate themselves because they're ashamed of being like a sort of clueless Midwest bumpkin, and so they instantly become like super classist and they hate all those people. Nobody hates like dumb white trash from Kentucky more than dumb white trash from Kentucky that moved to Seattle. And now they have to show all their new Seattle friends, you know, that they're not like that. And so they play in some like whack band that sounds like Mumford and Sons or Lumineers. That's one way you could go with this. Or another way you could go with this would be if you were in a crabcore band in 2009, by 2012, 2013, you were dressing like this and playing like really boring, like radio rock. I don't want to call anybody out, but we can all think of the guys that had scene hair and neon cartoon monster merch in 2009. And by 2012, they were wearing the wide brim Coachella hats, dressing like this, and taking themselves really seriously and wearing like, you know, navy blue cardigans. I feel like you could go that way with this as well. Either way you want to go with it. I'm not down with it. Not down with it. I've always just hated Chelsea boots. Tortured writer and Starbucks vibe. Yeah, either way, it's just like the douchiest fucking shoe to me. And you know, I'm going to revise this. Shoes for crews. I'm going to put on the C tier because those death metal guys are kind of sad. They're down bad. But, you know, they mean well. They're usually pretty nice. But the kind of people that wear Chelsea boots, insufferable, F tier, can't do it. Worst, I will never wear Chelsea boots in my life, people. Never, 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 never. Okay, there's a few different ways that the Adidas shell toe could go. Number one, you could be like a Deftones, Beastie Boys, kind of like, I don't know, kind of like stoner type guy. You know what I mean? Kind of guy that's like 38 years old and wore these in high school when they were actually still cool and doesn't know that they aren't kind of really cool anymore, at least not in that way. Yeah, the Deftones Beastie Boy type guy, the stoner, could go that way. The kind of guy that was, you know, a white guy that was a backpack rapper in his 20s, could be that way. Could also just be a nerd, you know, like someone who listens to like Muse or something like that, could go that way. Or, you know, there's a lot of like normie girls who wear them these days. Obviously that's totally okay. I don't know, there's something about Adidas. Let me just put it this way. When I think of Adidas, I just think of the kind of people who are always into like kind of the weird crappy version, the kind of people who are always in second place, right? They play Xbox, they drink Pepsi, they use Android, they have a Windows laptop, and they wear Adidas. It's just, come on, people. Why would you settle for second best? Why would you want to be that person? That's my question. Exactly. Coke, Nike, PlayStation, iPhone, MacBook. That's where it's at, people. Adidas and Galaxy. Oh, Reebok. Dear God. Now, hey, listen, at least you're not wearing Reebok. That's when we need a serious intervention. If you've gotten to the point in your life where you're wearing Reebok, that's when it's time to get professional help. Now, with that being said, better than shoes for crews, kind of dorky, but, you know, it's same as like Android. You know, Android's a little embarrassing, but it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I'll put those on the B tier. Now, how about Vans? Now, there's a lot of different kinds of Vans. We're going to start with the Skate High. In general, I'm a fan of Vans. Problem is the Skate High, awful, disgusting, terrible. Skate High is, that's like a municipal waste kind of shoe. You got to be, it's just something about the high top version just makes my stomach turn. It's like such a kind of like dorky, try hard kind of thing. Same with like all the municipal waste, like retro thrash things. You're like, okay, it's not 1986. Let's not pretend. You can put away your denim vest and, your bandana. It's just like, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just a little bit, sorry, Oscar. I'm sorry. I apologize. I forgot you were watching. Listen, if you want to pretend that it's 1986 and Rain and Blood just came out, hey, that's on you. You can do it if you want. But just there's something, the kind of people that wear the skate highs always irritate me. Not as bad as Chelsea boots, though. I feel like we're going to have a hard time coming up with anything that's as irritating as Chelsea boots. I would put these maybe on the same tier as shoes for cruise. Kind of irritating, but not too bad. Now, the Vans Authentic, that's a different story. Whether we're talking men's or women's, here's why this is so versatile. You could be anything. You see here from this normie mom here with her, frayed mom jeans wearing the Vans. Totally works. Or, you got your Tyler the Creator type guy here. That works too. Very versatile. You could wear them if you're, this looks like kind of a hipster skater. Whenever I see like the high waters, makes me think a little bit of the hipster skater type people. Either way, I think it's a great shoe. Really hard to go wrong with it. Nothing irritating. You can't go wrong with Vans. You really can't. With the Vans Authentic, I forget the name for the other low top one, but I'd say it's an S tier shoe. I'll say another S tier shoe is the Air Max 90. When you see this, what do you think of? You think of some guy in a New Era hat and a basketball jersey listening to the Acacia Strain who's just about to spin kick you in the fucking face at a show, right? Amir, exactly. Amir, the Acacia Strain, chin strap beard, and some guy who's about to spin kick you in the fucking face when the breakdown hits. That's what I think of when I think of the Air Max 90, especially this colorway. I think it's one of the best of all time. I still have a pair of them. For that reason, anything that makes me think of bands that look like this, right? Like the old school, like MySpace deathcore bands. That's what I think of when I think of Air Max 90s. And for that reason, I'm going to put them on the S tier as well. Even though, objectively speaking, I have many pairs of Air Max 90s, and I don't know. Sometimes they can be kind of uncomfortable, but they make me think of spin kicks and breakdowns. And so for that reason, I'll put them on the S tier. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. If you can find a pair of these bad boys. You remember Fieldy from Korn's signature shoe from Tribal? The most new metal shoe of all time. If you remember like how Fred Durst would always wear pony shirts. If you ask yourself, how could anything get more new metal than pony? Well, you found the answer here. Fieldy's signature shoe from Tribal. I've never actually seen any of these in real life, I don't think, but notice they've got the bass clef on them. I feel like there's probably, I don't know, in some like TJ Maxx or Ross somewhere, there's probably like a shipping container full of these for like $6.99 each. And I want to buy all of them and wear nothing but these for the rest of my life. I feel like these guys, like, how can you even rank this? This is like, you can't even put this on a tier list because it's just, it transcends our traditional method of ranking. It just really stands on its own as a titan of footwear. So I feel like I can't even rank this shoe. It's just going to be over here on its own. Let's talk about Doc Marten boots. Doc Marten boots, these can go a lot of different ways as well. I would say probably the most common scenario for Doc Martens is, edgy art hose, right? Like when I was a kid, it was like punks and skinheads and stuff wore them. That was a long time ago because punks and skinheads don't really exist anymore. And then Kurt Cobain came along, grunge became popular, and the Doc Marten boot became the signature shoe of the edgy art hoe. I'm sorry, edgy art hose, but I just think, it goes hand in hand with girls with bangs And you know my feelings on that. You know, if the girl, if she's got bangs, if she's got a septum piercing, if she's into astrology, and then if she's got Doc Martens, that's 4 red flags, people. What more do you need? Now the hottest e-girls wear them. Well, Morgoth, listen, how many times do I have to tell you, you keep touching that red hot stove and you burn your hand? How many times do I have to tell you to stop touching that red hot stove? Those e-girls, buddy, you're gonna keep getting burned. Keep touching that stove. Just don't come crying to me when it burns. That's all. I gotta say though, you know, the punks and the skinheads that wore them when I was, you know, really young, that was even worse. Like, I'll take art hose over, like, you know, real punks. This is who wore Doc Martens when I was a kid. These people are the absolute worst. The postcard punks. I'll take the e-girls and art hose over the, this is the real warning sign right here. The white Doc Martens. That's the real warning sign. White or burgundy Doc Martens. That's when you really got to watch out. That's when you know that the art hoe is really, really going to burn down your life. I'm going to put them on the C tier along with the skate highs and shoes for crews. You know what? No, I'm going to put on the F tier because for every irritating thing about the Chelsea boot fuckboys, I think the girls that wear Doc Martens, I think they're on the same tier as the Chelsea boot fuckboys. Sorry, people. Sorry. I know it's not going to be popular. Just my opinion. Okay, people. How about the New Balance 993 or any of these like kind of like New Balance dad shoes? Now, these could go a couple different ways. Number one, you could be some sort of like hipster creative director type, aka a douchebag, and that's bad enough. But I'll tell you what's a real sin is if you're the Converge dad. That's what this makes me think of more than anything else. Is the Converge Every Time I Die, Between the Buried and Me dad, balding, drives a Subaru, has 2 kids, maybe he's like a high school English teacher and spends money that he doesn't have to go to the Every Time I Die Christmas thing in Buffalo every year. That's what I think about when I think of New Balance. Kind of guy that leaves comments on my videos about how, you know, Ask Alexandria isn't real metalcore. Real metalcore is Converge and Every Time I Die. And you're like, okay, Dad, I get it. You're 38 years old. I get it. You went to Furnace Fest. That's what it comes down to. These are Furnace Fest shoes. The kind of guy who thinks that Every Time I Die and Norma Jean is the pinnacle of music. That's these shoes. No other way to put it. These are Furnace Fest shoes. I feel like they're kind of ugly. It's not for me. Those kind of guys, you know, they make me roll my eyes a little bit, but they're harmless. They're nice. Nothing wrong with those guys. Same with the Deftones people. They're dorky, but they're harmless. They just want to blast them Every Time I Die on the Ox and their Subaru. I'll put those on the B tier. And then over here, we've got the Fieldy shoe in a league of its own. And that does it for the rock and metal footwear tier list. I hope you learned something today about footwear or about yourself. Because as we all know, shoes are the window to the soul.